What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Mount MoGraph. As usual, my name's Matt, and today's video we're going to be doing Summit 28 ultimate low poly. So looking at this, you can see it is a deer, and it is a low poly deer. So I thought that was kind of cool. This wasn't the video I planned on putting up today. I actually had another one in mind, which was animated typography, which I think I'm going to put up either tomorrow or Monday. But I came up with this technique, and it makes it really pretty user friendly to model a animal in low poly. So I hope you guys like this video. I think there is a lot to learn actually today, and I think it should be kind of fun. So yeah, let's go and make this ultimate low poly deer. So I'm gonna open up Cinema 4D. I got R15 here, Studio. Yeah, and I chose to make a deer because I'm from Michigan and there's deer everywhere. So that's pretty exciting. You can really make any animal with this technique. But yeah. Oh, also I should say, on my desktop I have a deer profile picture and a deer body picture just to use as a reference. So they're actually going to be in the video description if you want to download it so you can follow along, or you can do a Google search and find your own images. Whatever works best for you guys. So basically, how we're going to do this is by using this really cool NERB tool, which is going to be the loft NERBs, which I typically really use for like modeling studio floors and whatnot. But this is going to be a really cool way that we are going to be able to model our deer. So let's go and just create a loft NERBs, and we're going to delete this Fong tag because we're making low poly, and we're going to go into our splines and grab an end side spline and drop this into our loft NERBs. So as you can see, it's going to fill it in similar to how an extrude does, but the cool thing is I can drag it out and resize it, and that is how we're going to be modeling this whole body and how we're going to get this very cool effect. So what we're going to do is go into our right view, so F3 on your keyboard, and we're going to go over into our attribute manager and go into mode and go into view settings. In your view settings, let's go over to back, and we're going to set an image as our background. So I'm going to go and click there, and on my desktop I got this deer body, so I'm going to say open, and it's now going to be in my project. And I'm going to also just turn the transparency down a little bit, maybe to 29, and now we'll have a reference image to create a very realistic looking body of a deer. I mean, you could kind of guess and mess around with it if you're like, if that's what you want to do, but it's going to be a lot slower. So basically I am just it's kind of hard to tell, unfortunately it's black, but I'm just sizing down this end side right now to like the deer's end over here. And then I'm going to bring up my move tool by pressing E on my keyboard, and the trick to using a loft NERBs, at least for this technique I came up with, is going to be holding command when you drag out, and that's going to duplicate it. And the loft NERBs, well, I'll explain it I guess as we go. So let's hold command with our move tool selected, and just you'll get these two little squares that pop up on your mouse, and we're going to drag out. And what that's going to do is create another end side in like an order, so it's going to come after the other one. And basically the loft NERBs goes in a hierarchy, so it's going to be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and it's going to create this loft shape based on the hierarchy of your end sides. So that's going to be the technique we are going to use to model the whole body. So let's just resize or bring up our rotation and just tilt this end side here and maybe move it down a little bit, and basically we're just going to resize it to the body. And there's some more settings we'll change in a second, but let's just try to go through this and just hold command and drag out with your move tool. And you want to do it in segments. You know, you don't want it to be too intricate, but at the same time you don't want it to be very detailed, because we're trying to stay in that low poly style. So basically just hold command and drag out and rotate as needed. I'm kind of following the curve of this deer's body here. I'm going to just drag out another piece here and maybe rotate a little bit. But yeah, this was a really user-friendly way to actually do some modeling. So I was pretty happy that I came up with this. I think it's cool. Yeah, and it was pretty fun too. Oh, whoops. So just resize it as needed, and Maybe size that up a little bit. You can be putting your points different if you'd like. It doesn't really matter. And then I will just duplicate this one more time. And let's see. Yeah, and you can also like obviously rig this if you want to make it run around or something. Maybe I'll put up a video with something like that down the road. I want to like build up skills in each video. I don't know, take my time getting into stuff like that. And then I don't like how this end over here is sticking up, so I'm just gonna go and click in my hierarchy, the very first one. I'll be able to move this down and maybe scale it down as well and just fix that. So it makes sense. You don't really even need to name them. So let's go back into our perspective view by pressing F1 on your keyboard. And as you can see, we now have this deer body. But something I don't like is if I do Command R, it kind of has these weird like ripples or like waves on it. So in your loft NURBS, if you select that, let's just go and click, where is this? Linear interpolation. And what that's going to do is create hard changes between each of the objects in your hierarchy, which is what we want if we're doing low poly style. So let's also turn our mesh subdivision down. I'm going to turn mine to 14 and maybe just change these segments to, let's go 4. And this is just our first step in creating this body. It kind of looks like a sausage or something right now, but we'll work with it and get this going the rest of the way. So now that looks pretty good, let's model a quick head as well. And then I'll try to explain it. It's a little bit confusing, but I think this is a good technique to use. So I'm just going to hold Command and duplicate my loft NURBS here and delete everything except for my first object in the hierarchy, the end side. And then I'm just going to move this around a little bit. So in order to model the head, since the deer picture I was using kind of has like a turn to the head, I just went over into my front view here, and this is like the view from the back of the deer. And I just went into my attribute manager and mode and went down to view settings, went into my back one, and I just picked another picture as my reference. So I'm going to use my deer profile picture right here. And there it is. And I'm going to actually scale this down. Make sure your keep aspect ratio is selected, and we'll just scale this down. And it doesn't have to be perfect right now. I just want to use it as a reference for getting this to look much better. Because I don't know, deers kind of have an interesting head shape, I guess. I don't know. It actually just looks like a triangle now that I'm looking at it, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to rotate this loft NURBS so it's 90 degrees, so it's going to look like a line. And let's actually start from this deer's actually let's start from the back over here. So I'm gonna just rotate this a little bit, and I'm gonna use it just right where his neck starts, so like kind of along this line. Also, don't make the mistake I did of going to Google and typing in deer head. You get some weird pictures. It's like winding up on the wrong side of YouTube. I did not mean to do that. Then I ended up typing deer profile, and I got some normal pictures. So yeah, just be careful with what you type in. Otherwise you will be as sad as I was with what I saw. Anyway, so I'm just going to do the same technique we did before. Just kind of rotate our copies here and maybe scale them up to correspond with what the head is supposed to look like. And just drag this out and duplicate it. So I think this is totally a nice way to do some low poly modeling. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's cool. If you guys think it's cool or helpful or whatever, drop me a comment and leave me a like. And it definitely encourages me to keep putting up some videos to get some good feedback or whatever. And it's good to hear from you guys. If you guys end up using this for a project, I'd love to see what you guys make. I think it's awesome. I've been getting some videos lately of what people have made, and it's pretty awesome. So you guys are really talented. So yeah, so now I got this basic deer head here. I'm going to go back into my normal view by pressing F1, and we got a deer head that is just floating above the body. So what I'm going to do is just move this over and kind of position it in the right spot. It's obviously it doesn't look right scale wise, so I'll just scale this up a little bit. And I just used that as a reference. So now what I'm going to do is copy these end side, or actually I'll just open my first loft NURBS, which I guess I should name deer body. And I'm just going to drag these other end sides into that. So now they're all connected together like that, which looks good. And I can delete that one we used just to model the head real quick. So I hope you guys were able to follow that. It looks like we're having some funny deformation happening, and I'm guessing it's because they're not rotated correctly. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to go and rotate all of our n-gons, or our end sides we just copied into our loft here, and just rotated 180 degrees. So bring up your rotation tool with R, hold shift, and just drag 180 degrees in a rotation, just so they're facing the correct way. I guess they were all facing backwards. So that's annoying, but it's an easy fix, and it's not really a problem. At least I hope it's not a problem. All right, so we kind of have a decent looking shape here. I don't like how this neck looks funny. So what we're gonna do is just go and select this. Mine's going to be end side 6, and that's going to be the one that was the end of the body. So I'm going to hold command and drag this out and make sure it's placed right underneath the other one. So now when I move this up, it's like changing the shape of our neck, if that makes sense. This is a funny one to explain. It's easier to just look and see what's happening than try to explain it, I guess. But what I'm going to do is just try to get a nice curve here. So I'm going to actually just go into my end sides and just add a little bit of a rotation. So just select it in a nice order and just rotate just a little bit just to get like a smoother change between the shapes. And then I'll just drag these end sides here. And it looks like I'm going to want to move these over just a little bit. It looks a little cramped. And the cool thing when you model with loft NURBS is if I move something, it's always going to stay connected. So that's kind of nice, and it's easier than like selecting polygons, I think. So I hope that is a nice little tip. Let's see. Yeah, so it really comes down to just what looks good to you. I'm just going to try to fix this up a little bit. I won't spend too much time on this model because I'm sure no one wants to sit here forever. But as you can see, we are starting to get a pretty decent looking deer body. So now with that selected, let's right click this and go to current state to object. And now we're going to have it all connected, and just hold Alt and click your traffic signals here until they're both red to hide it. Select your deer body, right click that and go down to select children, and right click one more time and go to connect objects and delete. So we're going to have one solid object, and I'll show you why we just did that in a second. So I'm going to delete my Fong tag, of course, to keep that low poly style. And I played around originally with like the displacers and a couple other effects to get this to look better. And what I didn't like, here, let me bring up my picture just to show you guys real quick. So as you can see, I actually have diagonal cuts over here, and it looks a lot better. It looks more natural than these awful, I don't know, just straight lines. And so what I did with this is I selected my deer body, and I went into my deformers holding shift and grabbed the polygon reduction, which is a super powerful effector actually, or deformer. And so with that selected, I'm gonna click polygon quality preservation, and that's just going to keep your smaller or it's going to get rid of your smaller polygons but keep the same shape. So as you can see, let's see if I can get a good angle, but as you can see, it's not like changing the shape as much as before. So that's pretty nice. And basically just, you can turn this up or turn it down. I mean, if you want like a super basic looking model, you can go with something like that, but I think that looks kind of stupid. So I'm going to go down to just till I start to get some nice little triangles. I like that look. So I'm going to stay with, let's go 89. 89 looks good to me. So that looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with that so far. So let's just do a quick preview, and it's starting to look pretty good. But something I'm noticing that I don't like is I'm not getting all my polygons to stick out as much as I want. I want it to really like show that low poly style. So I'm gonna, with my deer body selected, go into my deformers again and select the displacer. And that's just going to be added to our deer body. Go into your shading tab in your attribute manager and select your shader. And go and select the noise, and we're going to get a little bit of deformation happening right away. And just go into your object, and probably 10 centimeters is going to be too much of a change. So I would just turn this, at least for my model, to maybe 3. And your models should probably be looking pretty similar if you're using the same pictures as me. And what that deformer did is just kind of pop up each of the polygons just a little bit. And once we add some lights, it'll look even better. But this looks pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I'll just let that be for a second, and that should work great. So now let's go and create our legs, and we're going to be doing the same exact thing essentially to create our legs, and in no time at all we'll have a really awesome model. So let's go and create a loft NURBS again. So just go and, oh, whoopsie, just create an array object for some reason. I do not want that. That's going to be useless. I'll select this loft NURBS here. I'll go into my splines and grab an end side and drop this into my loft NURBS and just scale the NURBS down and rotate this 90 degrees. And then move my loft NURBS. I'm going to be doing this, this front leg over here, I think, first. So we're going to be doing that same technique we just went through, and it works pretty awesome. So we're just going to drag that out and scale it down. And for the leg, I really tried to stay with the natural like bone structure. So I didn't want to add too many extra pieces, but at the same time I wanted to get the turns on the body. So yeah, I just did that. What else is there to say about that? I don't even know. So I'm going to keep doing this and just scale this one out as well. Now, unfortunately, we got this little deer's feet are in the snow. So I just kind of made up what a hoof looks like. So, or hoof or whatever you call it. So I just scaled that up and then created another one and scaled that one up as well. And I think that's what their feet look like. I should probably know, but yeah, that's going to be fine, I think. It's not amazing, but we'll roll with it. So let's delete our Fong tag like we did before. Go into your loft NURBS in your attribute selection and click linear interpolation to keep those hard edges. And let's turn our subdivision down into that low poly style range. And I'm going to move this. I'm going to call this actually deer leg. And I will just move this out a little bit. And as you can see, this leg is very I don't know, stick-like. So I'm just going to grab this top one and just rotate it a little bit. Or I guess I'll rotate it 100 degrees and move it out a little bit. Scale it up. And just fix these. You do want to have a little bit of some rotation going on. So just rotate it as needed until it looks right to you. And that looks much better. I just like that it now has like an actual quadricep or whatever you'd call that. And then I'll, I don't want to scale it down. And then I'll just move it in a little bit and until it's in the deer's body, and go back into my side view and just try to line this up a little bit better. And that looks pretty good. So I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but as you can see, it's all in that low poly style. It's looking pretty good. We still have some lights to add and some other legs. Sticking out a little bit funny here, but we can probably just let it stay as is. Yeah, I liked it better before because I'm going to be doing a picture from the side, but you can spend some more time laying that out if you'd like. So basically, I'm just going to duplicate this deer leg and drag this over to the back side here. Go back into my side view, and no point in creating the wheel when we already have a pretty decent leg all made. So just highlight that and move it over, maybe rotate as needed. Yeah, it's nice working in this hierarchy. It really makes it so you don't have to name as much as normal. So I'm just going to keep moving these around until it looks like about the right point for ankle. Rotate this a little bit as well. Maybe scale it down. It's in the back, so it might be thinner or something. Put that there. Yeah, I think this really came together pretty decent. I was happy with the render. It didn't take too long. The hardest part was actually coming up with like I didn't really come up with it. You know, it's like a standard thing in the program, but I don't know. I didn't really expect to have the loft NURBS work as well as it did. You know, I think it's a really quick and easy way to get some really nice looking models. So I'll just rotate this 180 degrees because we're now on the other side of this animal. And then rotate this one 180 degrees, or what do I have to rotate this one as? Actually, it should be fine, I think. It's yeah, you definitely have to take a look at what you're going for, because these things can start to look very wrong. So I'm having some funny stuff going on up here. I'll just drag this into the leg and hide it. Perfect solution. And let's see. Yeah, that looks fine. It's not lining up perfectly. He's got a tail, and I didn't put a tail in my model just because I didn't it looks, I put ears on it at first and it just wasn't looking so good. So now we have some legs on here. So I hope you guys are liking this video so far. I'm having fun with it. It's a pretty cool one. But yeah, I called it ultimate low poly because this is totally starting to look like professional. You know, it's not like as cartoony. I've seen some people actually do some similar work, and I was wondering how they're doing it, and I don't know if this is the same way, but it's pretty, I don't know, it looks like a pretty legitimate way to model something. So now for this front leg, I'm gonna actually call this back leg, I guess, because it's on the back. Oh, well, whatever, I don't need to explain that, you guys get it. And I'll call this front back leg. So I'm just gonna duplicate this front back leg, and I'm gonna call this front leg. Man, that gets confusing. I feel like Dr. Seuss over here. Just drag this forward and toggle that down, and we'll just oh, another nice thing about the loft NURBS is if you have like for example, I don't know if we really need that piece there, so I can just delete it, and all my object still stays together. So it's pretty awesome. It's very powerful actually, just to be able to have that flexibility to really like, oh, I don't like that, I'm gonna delete it, and just not even worry about your shape that you've spent some time creating getting broken or anything like that. So it's kind of nice to have that assurance when you're modeling, at least. And then yeah, just keep modeling this stuff. It's kind of hard to talk and also do modeling, at least like this kind of stuff when I'm trying to follow lines. And maybe that's just me, but I thought it was a little, yeah, it's kind of hard to stay focused and also talk and not make something. I guess that's one of the things, like when you're making something that's you're trying to make a little bit more realistic, you do have to like focus a little bit, because it'll really stick out badly if you know, if you're trying to make something realistic, and it'll really be noticeable if there's something even a little bit off. So that's why I use those reference pictures, just because to really like sell it, you know, even if there's like a leg that was a little bit too long, it's going to really ruin your effect and it's not going to look as realistic. So, and then with this one, yeah, it looks funny from like right in the front. He's kind of got like bow legs, but you guys can fix that if you want. I'm just gonna, I'll be doing like the render from like this side, so it won't matter that much. Yeah, the bow-legged deer is gonna be famous. Then I'll duplicate this front leg, and I'm gonna call this front back leg, and then I will just move this over to the other side here and toggle that down, and just rotate this top end side 180 degrees and move it in this way, just so it's yeah, this looks so funny. It reminds me of some like weird movie, like Gumby or something. But let's go back into F3 for our side view, and just give it a little bit of a different angle or something. One of the nice things about working in 3D is that your perspective is going to be right. So since it's farther back, you don't have to like resize it. The camera will just do that for you. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm noticing on my body that I want a little bit more of a bow on this guy's chest, but I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. So let's see how this is looking. We'll do a render. I think that's looking pretty good for not a lot of time spent on that. Let's go and create these antlers real quick, and we'll be using a symmetry object. But how we're going to do this is just go into your side view here and go into your splines and grab a Bezier handle, and we're going to just create 3 points. Oh, and just drag them out and try to match the curvature of this antler here, and just go like this, and then go into your F3 view or your right view, and select your live selection tool and grab these points and just position them like this, and just match the curvature again. So this might seem like a funny step to some of you, but now when I go into my real world view, I'm actually going to have like an arc, because the arc from the side is matching the profile view we had, and then from the front it's actually matching the curve of the antler from the front view. So that's an easy way to just get like some I don't know, more lifelike movement to everything. And so with this, we're going to go and use a NURB tool, the sweep NURBS, and just drop our spline into the sweep NURBS, and go and select another end side and drop this into our sweep NURBS, scale down our end side, and we'll start to have a little bit of an antler here. So let's go into our sweep NURBS preferences and toggle down our details here, and let's just move the scale graph down. And so now the end of this guy's antler will be the smallest section, and you don't have to go all the way, but that's just going to create a nice little change. And if you want to scroll down a little bit more, we can even add a little bit of rotation to this just to give it a little bit more interest. So that looks cool. And then I'll delete my Fong tag, keep that low poly style. And there we go. So we're starting to get some antlers on this dude. What we're gonna do now is I'm gonna highlight all that, Alt G for grouping them, and I'm just gonna call this main deer. And now I'm gonna duplicate this sweep NURBS here, which is the antler, and just scale this down a little bit. And let's go into our front view, and we'll just rotate these objects. I didn't add as many antlers on my render as I probably should have. I just didn't really feel like it, and it started to look too detailed, which was not what I wanted. So you don't have to always match the image exactly. It's all artistic decisions and whatnot. So I'm just duplicating these, holding command and dragging them around a little bit. I thought the shape actually worked pretty well, just with a standard one, so I didn't even go and remake the sweep NURBS or the spline path on it. If you'd like to, you definitely can. I just didn't see a point to. So this looks pretty good, and I was fortunate to have all of the antlers facing forward, so that's good. And I'll just reposition this so it's all connected, and that looks pretty decent, I guess. One of the things though, so I'll group these all together, Alt G, and I'll call these antler, is the problem is you can't just duplicate this and rotate this 90 degrees because then it's facing the wrong way. So what we're going to do is use a symmetry object. So go into your array objects and grab a symmetry object and drop your antler in there. And it's going to duplicate on a funny side over here. So let's just change this to X, Y would be the right one. And then we'll just drag our antler to the left a little bit, and they'll spread apart because it's going to be right down the middle of our object. And then we'll just move this over until it matches up. Maybe go into my front view here and just line these up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So we are starting to get a pretty nice looking little deer. And I think that looks pretty nice. And that is basically the tutorial. I'll show you real quick just the textures I put on it. It was a white and black one, and yeah, I think for 27 minutes it's totally legit, so that's why I'm calling it ultimate low poly. So let's just go and create a floor object. So also what we should do is grab our main deer and symmetry and put this in another null object and just call this deer. And we'll just, I'm going to use my access center, include children, and use all points to put my my access center at the bottom of, or my access point at the bottom, or you can use L and you do your access modification. And this is just going to place my point at the bottom of my model, and then I'll do a PSR update to just place it in the middle and right on the floor, which is good. So now what we're going to do is create a new material, and in your color, go to a gradient here, select that, and go down to type, select a circular one, and we're going to be doing a very dark looking scene. I thought that looked nice, so I will set the middle as kind of a little bit lighter black, and then the outside will be a perfect black. So I'm going to drag this material onto our floor. I'll call this material floor. Let me see if I can open that. Floor, and go into your attribute manager, change your projection to frontal, and we're going to right click that, go to Cinema 4D tags and go to compositing and click compositing background. And now let's add a background object. So just go into your objects here and select a background and hold command and drag your material onto your background. And we're now going to have a nice gradient around our deer. So it's going to be nice and smooth always. And it doesn't, he actually will be on the ground once we put a shadow on there. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is make another object here. I just thought it might be cool if we can make him look like a gem, possibly. So I actually didn't do this in my render. We'll see if it works. It might not. If it takes too long, I'm just going to say no worries about it. So turn off your color channel and turn on your luminance channel, and go into your texture and go to effects, and let's turn on subsurface scattering. And subsurface scattering, the easiest way to explain it is like the rim light you get when you take a picture and someone's like has the sun behind them. And that's about the best I can do to explain it just real quick. So I'll drag this onto my my whole deer, and let's see how this is looking. Oh yeah, so this might work. So as you can see, we're kind of getting like a glow on him, which looks pretty cool. I'm gonna turn my path down just a bit, and now you can see there's like almost that rim light. Like on certain edges you have a little bit more glow, so we'll just keep that as is for now and see if that's working. Let's go actually into our main deer and into our deer body and just fix this guy's nose. I don't like that it looks like a pig up here, so I'm gonna just grab my polygon selection tool and drag this these two polygons on his nose. If I drag these out, so what we're gonna actually do, did you see that that happened? It like unconnected. So just grab your point tool here and do Command A to select all your points, right click and set optimize, and that's gonna connect all the ones that are touching. So now when I drag this out, they're gonna be connected, or more connected anyway. And I'm just going to give this more of a little bit of a nose look. Now it's really pointy, or actually it's not that pointy, but I don't know, just something a little bit more interesting, and I think that will look better. Yeah, it's kind of pointy, but whatever, you can fix stuff. Also you can go into your deer body and just grab your point selection mode, and just like if you want like him to have maybe look like he has eyes or something, you can grab these polygons here and just lift them up a little bit. You can do some modeling like that. Whoa, what am I doing? Well, anyway, so you can do some modeling like that, and it'll just give like a little bump to stuff if you like. So that looks pretty cool, I guess. It's looking all right. It's not perfect, but let's add some light to make this look a lot better. So I'm gonna add a light object, and I'm gonna set the type to an area light, and my shadow also, or the type to an area, and my shadow to an area light. I'll turn my intensity down to 70%. Go into my details. I'll turn my outer radius up quite a bit and rotate this 90 degrees, and maybe just lift it up above my my object here. Go down into my fall off, and let's do inverse square physically accurate, and I'll turn my radius up until my my radius is just under the floor, just so it's like well, yeah, that's pretty explanatory, I guess, or self-explanatory. And I'll go into my visibility. I will go and turn my sample distance up to 50 to smooth out those shadows, and also my samples under my details to 50 to smooth out the samples. In my shadow settings, let's turn our accuracy down to 1, our minimum samples to 3, and our maximum samples to 350. I've explained it in other videos a little bit more in depth, but the accuracy doesn't affect maximum samples, and accuracy are kind of the best way to add nice light to your scenes. Maximum samples is the best way to do it, but if they're high, then whatever. It's really hard to explain. The accuracy is going to be taken as a priority, and your maximum samples are like a secondary priority, but maximum samples make everything look better. So you turn your accuracy down, so maximum samples affects the image the most. I hope I explained that pretty well. Yeah, so this is what happened before. Once I added lights to the scene, my subsurface scattering got messed up, so I don't really want to fix that right now. So I'm just going to go into my material and turn my luminance channel down, and I'll turn my color on. I'll go in, so make a quick Fresnel and just make this like kind of a lighter gray. Go into my reflection and turn that on just a little bit, and we'll just leave it as that. It's going to be a nice simple looking deer. But yeah, so that is basically how you can create that ultimate low poly style in not too much time. I hope you guys like this video. Please leave me a like or drop me a comment if you want to see more cool videos, or unique videos anyway. Yeah, love to hear from you guys. Love to see what you guys make. So this was Matt from Mountain Mograph, and get your learn on. Peace out.